This is All Clear Firefighter Wellness, where we help you light your fire within.
So, Ben, you're new helping us at the Cancer Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us about a cool project we're working on? I think everybody's kind of figured it out now that they've been following us on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking about coffee, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about what you've got going on and helping us out?
Well, we're trying to develop a coffee blend that everybody likes, something that you can drink and drink it black. That was the ultimate goal. Because we are associated with the Cancer Alliance, we're always focused on health, both health and wellness. So we wanted something that you didn't have to add anything to. And in doing that and developing the proper blend, you have something that's tasty, not bitter, something that doesn't bite too hard, but you can go ahead and drink it without adding, your average creamers and things like that. There are some people that are going to do it no matter what, but this stuff, you really don't have to. It's actually a wonderful, wonderful product. I've drank coffee now since my twins were born. I never drank coffee before that, but it's funny how you don't sleep when you have twins. So to be able to feed them, I had to go and I would work a lot and I would drink coffee and always drank it with creamer because I couldn't take it any other way. And when we came down here to Broken Compass and did a tasting, I was amazed at what you can do with coffee. And the blend that we came up with, I feel is delicious. And by not putting the creamer in it, you're not adding the fat, you're not adding the sugar, you're not adding the chemicals. All of these things are harmful. If you look at the ingredients on your average creamer on the label, there's no cream in there.
It's sawdust.
Well,
A lot of it's sawdust.
Your average, shaker type dry creamer, there's like wood cellulose or something getting there as a filler, and that's not something we should be eating. And as firefighters, we're under enough risk of cancer. So why not try to do something better? And coffee does have benefits. It has health benefits. Firefighters tend to maintain a state of caffeination, because we run calls at all hours,
And it's interesting. If anybody knows my brown notebook, they know I write down things I learn in here. So I learned about some health benefits of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you my coffee story when I get done, and it's related to the fire service. But like you talked about, it gives us increased energy levels. That's one of the things that I don't ever have enough of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have enough energy. It does help with that. Helps with alertness. Now, how important is that 2:00 in the morning when you're responding to, say, a wreck on the interstate? It's important that you be on your A game, because that can be very serious for you and for whoever we're trying to help.
Yeah.
And antioxidants helps prevent diseases. We've all heard that. Physical performance boost. A lot of people, they're always looking for that thing to give them an edge in the gym. Guess what? Caffeine will do it. And if you listen to one of the episodes like we did with Dr. Jill Joyce, she talked about the value of coffee. Then also when we were talking with Roger Sutherland, he also talked about how that helps to wake you up and get your body ready for action. It also helps reduce risk of certain diseases such as Parkinson's disease and also Alzheimer's, two things that are very devastating. It also is good for heart health. Cardiac is not our friend either. Also, it will help with liver protection, i.e. reducing liver cancer. Like you talk about, drinking.
Filter, everything goes through.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it can also reduce depression. And, mental health is something else that we deal with a lot in our line of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and I both have had our stories and our times and things that have stressed us out. And coffee makes it a lot better.
It
But,
does.
I really didn't drink coffee till I started at the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And my son was born not long after that period of time. And it's like, oh, well, what is this stuff? I always thought coffee had to be bitter and nasty and not good. But as we've learned through this journey of tasting coffee and putting together a good cup of coffee, look at where we're at.
Yep.
So what would you say are some of the social benefits of coffee around the firehouse? maybe around the kitchen table, maybe it's on scene, maybe it's grabbing some at Starbucks, heaven forbid, on your way out.
It's how most people start the day, and that will set the pace for the remainder of your day.
Mm-hmm.
So the social aspect of that early morning cup of coffee, regardless of where you are, whether it's the kitchen table or the firehouse table or whatever, most people come in, and whether it's the oncoming shift or the off-going shift, everybody sits around, drinks coffee till it's time to get up and go and things like that. And you talk about what happened the night before, you talk about any of the problems, so everybody's in awareness of where things lie, and what might need to be done or still be done or whatever to get things completed. And around the house, it's the same thing. On a Sunday morning, I can sit around at the house with family.
Yeah.
My wife and I discuss things over a cup of coffee. My children are now older and coffee drinkers, and it's one of the first things we do in the morning. You drink coffee while we're making breakfast and whatnot. So definitely a social aspect, and it's an enjoyable event. That's what it should be. Just like any other food. We don't eat food that tastes bad. We shouldn't drink coffee that tastes bad, and that's one of the nice parts about this because, like I said, I'm amazed.
Yep. My dad was a trucker forever, and my dad, and he has been on the podcast a couple of times. In fact, he's one of our most popular guests. But the cool thing was, he used to be an ambulance driver before EMTs were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had to go to Pinehurst to take my EMT exam years ago. And he was the only one that was stupid enough to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning with me to go drive down there to be there by 7 and ready to go. And I remember I finished the test and we're starting to drive home, and we passed by a Waffle House. My dad's like, I need some coffee. Pull in. So we go into Waffle House and we sit down, and, we both have steak and eggs. Perfect breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
But sitting down with my dad, drinking the coffee, his first question was, all right, how'd you do on the exam? I'm like, I have no idea. And, he's like, well, I guess we might have come for nothing then. We'll find out. Well, I did pass, but, it was one of those things, the memories that you can make when you drink coffee. And I know this sounds like a coffee commercial, and it's not, but there's a lot of health benefits to it. And what we're trying to do is literally make a product available that can be a game changer for some people. Maybe it'll start a habit. I don't know. But, 100% of what efforts we're putting into this is to benefit firefighters. That's the whole thing. It's not by anybody getting rich. It's nothing to do with that. It's trying to keep the lights on, keep us doing our peer support and helping out with mental health and cancer and everything else we face.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get involved, because I've always been involved with things that help make the fire service better for the firefighters,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to be the pay, it's not going to be the recognition. It is the job of a servant, right? So for you to come out and do that job, you should be treated well for it, not necessarily financially, but in other means. And you should be taken care of when you need help, because
Right.
we're the ones providing the help. And what happens when the providers need help?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't even think twice about trying to be involved with it, because
Right.
From somebody who's had their issues with events related to the fire service and whatnot, it's important. I know personally that it's important, and I like helping other people because I know it's important to them, and I've seen the effects on other people.
Yeah.
So that's the real purpose behind it. It starts, with a great cup of coffee, which is good, but the whole side benefit of being able to help to get the awareness out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling this story a little bit ago when I went to the doctor and, wanted to get checked out because of the prevalence of cancer in the fire service. And he said, "Oh, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "Well, how long have you been a doctor?" And are you new? So, because he was not aware.
Yep.
And you can't hide it. You can't hide it anymore. It's cancer's become the leading cause of death of firefighters now. With cardiovascular disease, and unfortunately suicide is up there as well. All of those things are super important to be dealt with, because it's not like it used to be. The days of just sucking it up, and then the days of, people would self-medicate. You know, and we can't do that anymore. There's those things. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to lose your job.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose your job and you have no help.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be proactive about it as opposed to react.
And you know, one of the things that the Cancer Alliance has realized, especially since COVID, mental health really came to the forefront after that, in a lot of ways, in the public and also in our industry. But the thing that we come to understand is the fact that you can't fight cancer if your head's not in the game. Mm-hmm. If you're not at a solid point with your mental health, you might beat the cancer physically, but it's still going to take a toll on you. And also, if you know you're not eating right, you're not sleeping well, you're not doing those things, you're not preventing cancer to the best that you possibly could. We have to control the things we can. We might not be able to control the fact that there's PFAS in our gear right now, but you know what we can control? What we put in, what we drink, what we eat, how we sleep, things like that. And firefighters do tend to become self-destructive if they don't get help. And you got to man up and ask for help sometimes.
That's
and
right.
that's exactly the whole purpose of our mission. And, you know, I'm going to break the third wall, or is that fourth wall, look at the camera and actually say, this is why we're doing this. And we encourage you guys to visit with us at Safer. We'll be in Raleigh next week. Come by and get a cup of All Clear coffee. We'll have some swag to give away. And we hope to get a chance to see some of our viewers and listeners and all that. And we'll talk to you soon. So, Ben, you got anything you want to tell our folks?
Yeah, neither one of us looks better in person. So
Very true.
see you there.
Yeah,
Happy to have a conversation.
and maybe sign an autograph too. You never know.
Now, let's meet the mad scientists behind All Clear Coffee, Camilo and Sarah Gandini of Broken Compass.
We'll return after these messages.
Are you enjoying this podcast? If so, we have a small favor to ask. Subscribing and donating helps us to keep the show running and brings you even more great content. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode. You'll be able to support what you love. Donations, no matter how small, can help us cover production costs, improve the quality of each episode, and generally keep the lights on. So hit that subscribe button, and if you can, consider making a donation. Visit us at allclearpodcast.com to donate and catch up on past episodes and even read our blog. Thanks for listening and supporting our show.
All Clear Blend is a blend of two distinct single origins. A single origin means that coffee comes from one singular farm, one singular region. It can be traced back to one singular farmer. So those two single origins have been blended together, handpicked by the individuals from All Clear Coffee who have come to find a flavor profile that they feel the firefighters and their families and their loved ones and everyone else will really love.
Enjoy as well.
The two coffees, what are the two coffees in the blend?
The two coffees that All Clear Blend is coffee from Guatemala and Colombia. The coffee from Guatemala is a red bourbon, and the coffee from Colombia it's a black honey process.
Yeah. And the names are just the names of the varieties.
Yes.
So just
Red
because
bourbon.
it says red bourbon
Yes.
doesn't mean it has bourbon in
Bourbon.
it. Sorry, but it is. Red bourbon is known as a bean for just being very smooth, very mild. It has just like a really nice medium body to it.
Yeah.
And it just makes for one of those consistent cups of coffee.
Yeah.
And then the black honey is called that because of the process.
Yeah.
So essentially, coffee goes through a variety of processes, but this particular one has a process where they take the coffee cherry and then they remove the skin of it, but leave some of the mucilage.
Yeah, they take away the pulp and the mucilage is there, stored with it.
Yeah, and what that does is when the coffee beans ferment in a little bit of this mucilage, it actually retains a lot of its natural sugars.
Yeah.
So something like a black honey is actually a lot more naturally sweet, almost kind of like a molasses, brown sugar, kind of dark chocolatey flavor profile to it.
And I think like a good pointer in this, like black honey, why is it called black honey? While it's resting or fermenting in raised beds, they every 2 or 3 hours, a person comes and just moves the coffee around. So that just creates more process for the fermentation as well.
Yeah.
So that's another like giving to that coffee that it's more hands-on on the coffee as well. Yeah.
And I think what makes the blend special is just the way that those two coffees balance each other, right?
Yeah.
You get like the natural sweetness, this kind of like brown sugar molasses type sweetness from the black honey, but with this really nice, almost like creamy, lingering finish of the red bourbon.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's really great about Broken Compass, about where we come from and our ability to offer specialty coffee is that specialty coffee is really all about traceability and about knowing exactly where your coffee comes from and knowing that that coffee has met a certain set of quality standards at every single step of the way between that person and your hand. And one of the things that Camilo and I really have decided on firmly in building Broken Compass is that we would not work with any coffee producers that we didn't have direct relationships with.
Yes.
And we wanted an origin trip to be like coming home to see these people. We wanted to be able to know how they treated the coffee, how they treated each other, how they treated their workers, and be able to feel really good in supporting that. So that we knew that buying coffee from them meant supporting the communities in that space. So the red bourbon that comes from Guatemala is actually from an amazing family. They're called the Solanos. David Solano is currently a 4th generation producer who is running that farm. He's a good friend of ours. And his farm is remarkable. It's something like 100 and some years old. Some of those plants are.
So last time that I was there, he showed me a plant that it was 130 years old.
Yeah. Incredible. It's their like family legacy.
It was a red bourbon, actually.
Yeah.
It was
cool.
a red bourbon plant. Yeah.
Yeah.
That his grandfather planted there.
Yeah, exactly. So every time we go back to Guatemala and we see our friend and our family, we make a point to also visit the Solanos and visit the farm and check in on how the crops are doing, how the harvest of that season has been. And it's just been a really nice working relationship for us. They are people who really believe in treating their workers with respect.
Yes.
And will only work with exporters and importers who carry that through.
And actually, like in the farm, they have a school and like a little like pharmacy hospital type situation.
That's so cool.
Because they're like so in the town that there's like no resources that whole family, there's no lock in that farm.
Oh, wow. It's like a community resource.
Yes, because everybody knows them and they know that they will treat them right, like the workers. So if their mutual respect is there, they have access to the school, they have access to medicine. So that's something really nice of them contributing to where they are located in Concepcion, Buena Vista.
Yeah. And the black honey.
Yeah, the black honey. Black honey comes from Colombia with the producer who is Felipe Trujillo. Felipe Trujillo has, his story is amazing as well. He was a CEO of a big company, then realized that that was not his calling. His father had his farm and everything, but he decided to go and get a normal 9-to-5 job and everything. But once he decided that wasn't his life. He went back to the farm, back to the root.
Missing purpose.
He was missing purpose. Yes, exactly. And working side by side with the people, he found out that was his calling, being in the farm, growing coffee as well.
And doesn't he participate in mentorship programs too?
Yes, I was going to that. So with this relation that he was building in Colombia, he met a lot of farmers and producers from around his farm. But the farmers there are getting a little older and there's no too many youth people in coffee world. So he started this program.
It's not a hot job.
Yeah, it's not a hot job. It's tough being outside under the sun, picking beans
One by one.
one by one. Yeah. So he started this program with youth people and teach them the science behind that, because coffee is science.
Yeah.
So that way of getting the youth more engaged into the coffee. And it's a great product from Colombia, and every country who grows coffee should be really proud of it.
Yeah. And we're actually going to visit Felipe in November.
In November,
Colombia.
yeah. We're going to visit
Do a
their farm
visit.
and visit the other farmers and mentors and mentees that he has.
That's right.
So let's talk about, you mentioned how the one farm has its own hospital, has its own school. It's a community. It's a town.
Yeah.
How important is selling coffee on our eating? How does that impact them in Colombia? How does us helping that community transmit all the way over across countries and seas to here in the U.S. so where we're able to help firefighters who help our guys?
Well, yeah, actually, it helps them tremendously. We don't realize, like, just buying a cup of coffee that would cost us, I don't know, like a drip coffee would cost us, I don't know, $4. And for some people, that would be something so mundane that we don't realize that those $4 goes way back to the farmers. That will help them. Well, just keep it in context. $8 is 7.8 Qs. And
Quetzales.
Quetzales. You can buy a lot with just 7.8 quetzales. That could be a meal for a day for a family in a town. So if we do that conversion, and as long as we as roasters keep everything as fair as possible, we just like to be the bridge between the form and the end of that being, the journey of that being that it's a cup of coffee. It will help them tremendously. Yeah. I don't know if I'm skipping something.
No, I think you have it right on. I mean, essentially the answer to that question is it impacts them directly. I mean, it's one of the things that we love about Ventola Coffee, which is the production company that Felipe owns, is they have actually made the decision this year, a very difficult decision, to take on all of the exportation themselves.
Yes.
So they are now the farmers, the producers, the exporters, everything. They are the business, right? That's a huge undertaking for a family, for a husband and a wife and their kids to take on.
Yeah.
But Felipe understands the impact of working directly with people. And he wanted to be so hands-on with his mentees, with the producers that he works with across Colombia and outside of Colombia. He's not really willing to cut corners with that. And so what's beautiful is you buy coffee like All Clear Blend, that money is literally going to Ventola. And that is the same exact company.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, it's not just going for the farmers, it's going for what All Clear Blend represents as well.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I think that's the beauty of it, right? Is literally the communities in these towns of Colombia and Guatemala, where their world revolves around coffee and community, to the people here in North Carolina and the people who take care of us, who watch over the communities, who serve others. So I think it's a nice connection.
Are you excited to be working with firefighters?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't be. Do you know he wanted to be a firefighter?
Yeah.
For a while, when we were like thinking about what we could do when we moved to the States, he was like, maybe I'll be a firefighter.
Too late.
I know.
No, right?
I know.
I think a great firefighter.
Yeah.
You have been listening to All Clear Firefighter Wellness. All Clear is presented by the North Carolina Firefighter Cancer Alliance. You can find out more about us at allclearpodcast.com. Leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. If you like what you hear, tell someone. All opinions expressed on the podcast do not always reflect the opinions of the podcast. As always, light your fire within. Do you have an idea that you can't quite get out of your head and onto paper? Does your department need updated shirts? If so, you need to talk to the guys over at Studio Print Shop. We've been working with the guys at Studio on making some of our ideas become reality. Whether you need screen printing, embroidery, or graphic design, they have you covered. They're even working with the latest direct-to-garment printing technology to make your ideas come true. Check out their link on our website or go to studioprintshop.com and get 10% off your first order when you use the discount code ALLCLEAR. Studio Print Shop, creativity fueled by passion and vision.